With Booker T talking about his near alleged run-in with CM Punk backstage at NXT and more. This is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on and don't forget to like the video. When it comes to Logan Paul announcing the location of Summerslam, which will be in Cleveland, Ohio, Dave Meltzer said this on Wrestling Observer Radio. Yeah, it was another executive decision trying to do something different instead of releasing it to the regular media. Have Logan Paul make the announcement and have the press release right after. Also, the fact that Logan Paul grew up in Cleveland, it makes sense. Discussing his status with AEW and potentially facing Will Ospreay, Rob Van Dam noted on his one-of-a-kind podcast, "Right now, I don't know AEW. If anything, I don't know what to expect. Our videology tells me not to have expectations. I'm 2-3 on my AEW so far. So if AEW President Tony Khan wants to bring me in just to give the kids these fantasy matches, then hey, it's not a bad position to be in to be able to do that. If he wants to just bring me in when he's got wrestlers that are injured and need someone to step in, it's still not a bad position to be in. I'm a gun for hire and I like my position in that. If he wants to do something more, then I certainly don't know about it right now. But he always says that he loves working with me, he being Tony, and he's a great guy and always says he wants to do it again, so I don't know." Touching on the possibility of returning for one last match in pro wrestling, Mick Foley said this during a Sign It Live session for High Spots. "Yeah, I'm looking to do one more match, but I'd have to lose an extraordinary amount of weight and it's not falling off like I hoped it would. So I'm going to have to re-examine where I am at a certain point. It's not about the money. I want to have a fun match, but I am having trouble. I've been working out, I feel better, moving better, but it's not showing up as of yet on the scale. So I'm not sure. I'll have an answer by the beginning of the year. There's a lot of different options opponent-wise to do such a thing." Explaining the reason for her new name in pro wrestling, AEW star Mercedes Mone said this on Quania's Questions on NBC. "You know, I love to make that money because money changes everything. You know, so when I was figuring out what is going to be my new name, this voice over me is like, what do you want? I want money, and that's exactly what I got, so the moniker is here to stay because I'm here to make money all day." Bringing up an invite she received, Becky Lynch told the New York Post, "I got invited to the White House because I'm Ireland's national treasure. It's a significant Irish celebration, so I'll be there." Asking a question on X to Downstate, who made Cody Rhodes' theme song, the Silly Sloth wrote, "Hello Downstate, I'd like to know how much input Cody Rhodes had on the song Kingdom. Did he give you words or phrases or anything like that, or did you all go out on it by yourselves?" Downstate replied, "He said he liked the message of BMTH's throne. F you then, watch me shine, and wanted lyrics that reflected his relationship with Dusty. While many interpret 'You took my dreams but not my name' as a shot at WWE, it also represents life taking Dusty but not Cody's identity." Reacting to Booker T alleging that he nearly got into it with CM Punk at NXT tapings, former WWE star Ryback had this to say in a video on X.
"Yo, I'm the big guy, Ryback, and Booker T allegedly almost whooped CM Punk, aka Fragile Phil's ass this week at NXT. And unfortunately for all of us who dislike these two absolutely miserable pricks, it didn't happen. But Booker says it almost happened and the internet might want to pick up on it. My guess is, because Booker is not an idiot, even though he says some idiotic things a lot of times, is he knows that Fragile Phil CM Punk is a little internet mark and is going to go out and put his version of the story and probably try to make Booker look bad. So he beat him to the punch and mentioned that there was a little altercation on his podcast. And as much as I dislike both of these guys because they're chronic liars on things, Booker T would whoop CM Punk's ass every day of the week. I don't care if he's 85 years old. It's going to be much like Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, in my opinion. It's just not a fair fight. Join me tomorrow, though, Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific, guys. The Ryback Show live, Ryback TV on YouTube, and at Ryback on X Spaces, where you can call in live on the show. The Ryback Show is also available on all podcast platforms, and iTunes reviews are greatly appreciated. And that's the last bite. Feed me more.
Reviewing the impact on ticket sales that The Rock had for Smackdown, Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio, more than double the tickets for Smackdown once they announced The Rock was going to be there. More than double, yeah. Memphis was not going to be that at all. Memphis was 4,500 tickets sold 2.5 weeks out. Even a week ago, it's not like everyone bought till they announced him. It was up in the 7s a week ago. I was like, man, I don't know how they'll get to 12. Yesterday morning, I got a text from somebody saying they sold out Memphis. By weird coincidence, someone in WWE talked to me. I don't think anyone wanted me to know because Dwayne wanted to break the news in his promo. Going over Kevin Kelly seemingly no longer being a part of AEW as a commentator, Ringside News wrote that Kevin Kelly has left an incredible mark in the wrestling world through his significant contributions to various promotions, including WWE, NJPW, and most recently AEW. However, recent developments and his noticeable absence from AEW's televised programming have sparked speculation about his departure from the company. Tensions escalated when Kelly publicly criticized Ian Riccaboni ahead of AEW Revolution, accusing him of defamation and emphasizing his own importance within the organization. This controversy has raised concerns about potential legal implications, as highlighted in a recent report by Wrestling Observer. According to the investigation, Kevin Kelly's departure from AEW is yet to be officially confirmed as a termination. Wrestling Observer reached out to sources within the promotion, but has been unable to gather definitive information. Even AEW President Tony Khan has refrained from directly addressing the situation, despite Kelly's absence from the AEW Collision commentary team. Sources suggest that Kelly's previous negative comments toward Ian Riccaboni were addressed internally months ago. However, specific details remain undisclosed, with sources within AEW expressing reluctance to provide further information due to potential legal ramifications. Despite the uncertainty surrounding Kelly's departure, discussions between AEW and Kevin Kelly may potentially occur in the future. According to Wrestling Observer sources, Tony Khan, when asked to comment on the situation, declined to provide specifics but expressed appreciation for Kelly's contributions to AEW and NJPW, particularly highlighting his involvement in the inaugural Forbidden Door pay-per-view event in 2022. Former WCW star Psychosis has suffered a broken hip and needs surgery. As a GoFundMe setup for him reads, "Hello, I'm Ruben Zamora from Masked Republic and I'm fundraising for my friend, the original Psychosis, also known as Nico. On Thursday, February 15, 2024, Nico suffered a fall while working. At the moment, nobody knew how bad the injury was. After a few days, fellow luchador Damien convinced him to go to the hospital. Nico took the advice, which he would later learn might have saved his life. At the moment, nobody knew how bad the injury was. Upon arriving in the hospital, X-rays and an MRI were taken and showed that his right hip was broken. Not bruised, not fractured, but broken. Medical doctors advised Nico that he would not be able to go home and instead must stay for observation and an eventual emergency surgery. A few days later, the surgery was performed successfully. Several days later, Nico was allowed to go home. I've been in contact with Nico and he tells me that he is not able to sit up, move, much less walk. He is to stay in bed for several weeks before he can attempt to sit up. Nico tells me that the pain is severe, keeping him from sleeping at night. Why am I doing this, you may ask? Nico has been not only a very good friend to me, but he has been a loyal supporter in what we do at Masked Republic since day one. Whenever I called for a booking date, he always said yes, asked when and where, and say he'd be there. Note, he never started the conversation asking about pay. When I needed a radio interview or a TV appearance, Nico was always the first to step up and help out, never asking about pay. When I would go out at midnight to plaster my event posters around San Diego, Nico would cross the border and come along to help put up posters gestures. He never asked for anything in return. When the attendance was bad and I was short on cash, Nico would tell me, pay everyone else first. Take care of all the kids, luchadors from the undercard, and your expenses first, and whenever you have money, don't forget about me. For those reasons and many more, I want to help my friend Nico, the real and true original Psychosis. His generosity and support has allowed me and Master Republic to thrive in the Lucha Libre space, and thus allowing us to help others and provide them with an opportunity to pursue their dreams as well. All donations will go directly to Nico in order for him to pay his medical bills, pay for his upcoming physical therapy, and I'll pay for any future medical expenses, as he will not be able to work for the foreseeable future. I ask that you please help if you can. Every donation will help. Please tell a friend. Thank you, R. Once again, going over WWE's reaction to Will Ospreay signing with AEW, Dave Meltzer said this on Wrestling Observer Radio. With Will, it was just that WWE saw him as maybe AJ Styles when he first came in, maybe not even at that level because AJ Styles had a little bit of a name in the United States from TNA. Not realizing that again, he's at a different level and so much better personality, but I mean the whole thing and more, so much more charisma. But the thing is not that AJ doesn't have charisma or anything like that and that he is not a great wrestler. AJ, when he first came in there, and still now, he's a super talented guy, but the thing with Ospreay, I know people in that company who are very, very high on him, and that were very upset. I don't say very upset, but upset surely they didn't get him because they knew he was this good, and they just thought that he's a guy who can be like a real major player here. Ringside News added that there is a report circulating online that people in WWE are very upset over not landing Will Ospreay as part of their roster. After speaking to a source in WWE, it was relayed to us that the idea that WWE is kicking themselves because a talent ended up getting paid more money for less dates by Tony Khan is seemingly foolish. As we noted yesterday, Will Ospreay opted for the AEW deal because of more money for less dates, relocating, and other factors. The idea being pushed that WWE is lowballing potential talents is not accurate. A quote from a WWE source speaking to Ringside News reads, "We are doing record business every night. If Dave Meltzer wants to believe that we are sitting here kicking ourselves because a talent ended up getting paid more money for less dates by Tony Khan, then Dave Meltzer should get his head examined." Recalling her debut for AEW on the most recent episode of Dynamite, Mercedes Mone said this to Joe Otterson of Variety. "It was unbelievable. I still haven't gotten to take everything in yet, but my heart was just pounding out of my chest. Once I heard the beat drop and the music and the CEO chants were on the screens, and then they revealed the Mercedes Mone name, that eruption was so electric. I felt so cool. I felt like Stone Cold Steve Austin when fans just lift up all their signs and stand up with their arms raised. I felt so cool. It was the best feeling in the world." Talking about an amazing feat by Natalya in WWE, Sean Ross Sapp, a Fightful, said this on X. "I was just looking at Natalya's cage match profile, dating back over 20 years. I can't find one time she's ever been out of the ring for 3 months in a row. That is unreal." Natalya replied, "I've been sometimes lucky. I've been in there with talented pros. I've been fiercely determined, and I've been absolutely blessed to find something in my life that I truly love. All the road is worth it when the destination is between these ropes, and I'm built to effing last." Mentioning the hate she received for being in a relationship with The Undertaker, Michelle McCool said this on 6 Feet Under. "Not only did his fans legitimately hate me because they think they're married to him or something, sometimes it's like death threats. In that regard, I got it. Then, of course, anything I did or said, not any type of work I put in because I was dating The Undertaker, even from co-workers, it wore on me a lot." The Undertaker added, "I saw the frustration. I saw the work she put in. I never helped the girls because most of them were only there for a stair step to go somewhere else. Her work ethic and what she put into it was different. It wasn't fair, obviously. You know what you're getting into when you cross that line. But it wasn't fair because she worked her butt off." In an interview with Hitting the Turnbuckle, leader of the Bullet Club and New Japan star David Finlay said this about those comparing his faction to the New World Order from WCW. Yeah, I mean, I think it's eclipsed the NWO in terms of that, in terms of being the biggest faction of all time. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I wouldn't necessarily say. Everyone knows the NWO was the best when it was a cluster F. No, I think in terms of Bullet Club, it's a cool idea that spans through all the major promotions in wrestling, which I find so unique. It's never really been done before. Bringing up his WWE journey and the amount of creative control he has in the company, Drew McIntyre told Gorilla Position, "I was feeling what I was going through, what everyone was going through. Those emotions were very real, but it got to a point where I knew we have to evolve. I guess just doesn't feel like the right fit anymore. I can't just stay in the same spot, and I'm counting out to the ring and people are like, oh, there's Drew. We love Drew. Hi, Drew. There we go, but it's just same old Drew. Same hat, sword, and smiling and whatnot, and I was like, all right, we got to evolve. We got to add some layers. We got to change things up, and I kind of went through that process of, okay, I'm old hat. I can be slid in wherever to help a talent, elevated going through the legs, but it's not working for me, brother. Like, I don't come here to make up the numbers. I came here to be top of the card, make a true difference to the overall show, and I didn't feel like we were doing it. These past few months, I really got given that opportunity to be the real me. Show what's going on inside, tell whatever story you're feeling you can tell, and things are a little different. You can go into the past, you can use whatever you want to help paint your picture, and they gave me that blank canvas, and I've been able to do with it what I want. Obviously, in collaboration with the writers and like our creative team are so phenomenal the way they set up the week to weeks. I can't think of that stuff. That's what's great about it. They think of the bigger picture and where are we getting to, and each week I can paint my canvas to tell that story to get to the final destination. It reminds me of my independent run where I finally was given full creative because it was basically you're going to make money and be able to pay for your house and stuff. Actually, we got together and just got fired and you have nothing and it has to work, yeah, and I learned, how to draw money, how to be on top, how to find myself, I guess, and it was all basically my stuff the entire time, and now what you're seeing now is a collaboration, but it's very much my words 100%, and you can feel it's real, you can feel I believe it because it is real. That's so good to hear, so you're really being given the freedom. Asked for his thoughts on CM Punk, who he has mocked on social media and WWE programming, Drew McIntyre said this during that same interview. I mean, I've been pretty honest about my opinions. Huge name. Has a lot of attention from not just the hardcore fans, but the casual fan base know exactly who he is. He sells tickets and he's a draw, but he's a terrible human being, and I was around him when I grew up, and there's instances I haven't talked about, perhaps I wouldn't talk about till it's face to face with him, and those certain feelings seem like much hasn't changed from talking to people that I know regarding his personality, and he came back, I felt a certain way. He, instead of wanting to pull me aside even backstage and never mind on television and saying, hey, maybe I wasn't a good person back then, or maybe it wasn't a bad place. Like, no, none of that. Just let's act like everything's perfectly fine, everything's hunky-dory, it's all right. He then said this when asked if Punk tried to reconcile the differences. Nope, not one time. McIntyre then said this on continuing his feud with CM Punk. Yeah, I just hope he's careful. Just worried he's going to injure something else during rehab. Man's made of glass. I want that match. I really want that match. I'm just concerned for him, especially wrestling someone like him. I'm a freaking monster in there. I got my hands on him. You saw what I did at Rumble. I tore him to pieces. I chopped him to bits. CM Punk was black and blue. I ended up hurting him in there. with him having been out of action for over 5 months following surgery on his ankle. An update was given on Adam Cole, as Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful said. I heard he was out of the boot and there were concerns that whether or not it would stop swelling, but that was over a month ago. With him claiming to have nearly had a run-in with CM Punk backstage at NXT, Booker T responded to a clip from his podcast posted by Wrestle Features on X as he wrote, "People are making an issue of a 40-second clip out of a 2-hour show. The dispute between CM Punk could have been over a banana and catering. Haha, y'all are making much to do about nothing." And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.